Hello out there, Foxes fans, and welcome back to another edition of the U.S. Foxes podcast, coming to you live as always from various time zones around the United States of America. I, as always, am your host, Matt Folks, joined by two of my wonderful co-hosts this evening. First, in New York City, Mr. Jason Becker of the New York Foxes. What's up, brother?
Yeah, I have to say there's a lot going wrong, a lot going just sadly south around sports in my world. Giants horrible, Yankees don't make the playoffs. The U.S. Ryder Cup team just puts in another disgrace in Europe. Congratulations, Chris.
Yeah,
I'm not sure I even wanted to see your face yet. It's just a little too soon. But our Leicester City Football Club remain a bright spot this year and causing us all sorts of joy. So we are still happy here in New York.
Yeah, I'm happy that you guys have that, the Giants fans especially. There's lots of fan bases though around the United States right now that I feel like, despite how their team might be performing, if they're also a Leicester fan, you could just not be anything but thrilled right now. Mr. Chris Warner up in Del Mar, how are you this evening, bro?
Ole, 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 ole. How you
I
doing,
knew it.
boys? Yeah, not too bad, Matt. Not too bad. You know what? Enjoyable weekend. I know Jim's not with us on the call. We actually decided to go celebrate in Europe just to enjoy it a little bit further. But no, yeah. I mean,
I'm out.
I love you guys. You know what? I'll give you this. Sunday, watching it, there was a point when the comeback was on, there was a little bit in me thinking, "Oh my god!" Like the cynic that Leicester have caused me to be all over these years was like, "Oh god, we're done." Like they're going to come back. It's going to be the worst thing. But no, thankful for Ricky deciding that he wanted to put it in the drink versus putting it on the green, and yeah, it's what it is. But yeah, not doing too bad, buddy. Not doing too bad.
It was tough for two San Diego golfers because Xander and Ricky are both from San Diego. So yeah, not great for us, but we'll see at Bethpage in a few years. Black courses. That's humbled quite a few Europeans and Americans alike. So should be an interesting. But yeah, congrats on your Ryder.
No worries for the European fans. We will make sure we keep it extra classy for y'all when the Ryder Cup comes to New York.
Yeah, I got my headphones on, or I would take my hat off for you right now. Absolutely. Let's dive into our beloved Leicester City. It's kind of a podcast where we got to touch on a few things, and we know that that's going to be the theme, guys. Just we've said it from the beginning this year, the championship and its crazy hectic schedule, and then you throw in EFL Cup matches against Carabao Cup match against Liverpool, and yeah, it's just stuff on top of stuff, but a good test for our young team. And we'd been talking early in the season after we saw some of the success of Enzo and how Enzo ball was being played. It was only natural to wonder how this would translate to the Premier League against a Premier League club. And I take full advantage for jinxing us on this, but I said at the time, man, it would be cool to get a Premier League club in the draw. And sure enough, we get Liverpool. I was not hoping for, mid-table team would have been great. Whoa, why didn't you get fucking Wolves or somebody, Everton, somebody? But anyway, we get Liverpool, and yeah, guys, I'll tell you what, it could have been much worse. I'll say that. And there were times and especially in the beginning of that game, where I was insanely proud of the way that our boys played. Young Casey McAteer just continues to surprise, and obviously picking up a tough injury that we'll get into, but just has been an absolute star. And when you look at things that you could be happy about with this club, that's got to be one of the first ones that pops up, Jason. A young guy like this performing at a level and scoring against a club like Liverpool at Anfield. He looks so cool slotting that thing home.
You're right. I think you just used the word revelation, and he certainly has been. He's been a lot of fun to watch. He's our leading scorer for the year. Will be a big loss, but he's really answered the call and made a step up. And if you think about his career up to now, this is the highest level he's played at. He played lower division football. Was playing for the U23s, and now he's made the step up in leagues, and he's been fantastic. And not just his goal scoring, but the work that he does off the ball and the intensity with which he plays, and just how he's everywhere. He's always trying to get involved and make something happen. He's just a really fun player to watch. So some people, when they watch games, want to see the whole pitch. Other folks like to kind of zero in on a player, and I think he's a fascinating player to watch. Hopefully he's back soon and healthy, but his confidence must have been so high, scoring a goal like that. And I think even though it was a tough loss in the end, I think past Leicester sides under Rodgers, maybe a bit under Puel, would have taken a loss like that and gotten very discouraged. And there was none of that from this side. Might be some of the naivety from the young players, but I think it's a bit of Enzo kind of rubbing off on all the guys, and the players kind of taking to that message. And players like McAteer being told, like, we're not worried about today. Like, you just go out there and we're going to play our game no matter what. I want you to go out there, Casey. I want you getting up high up the pitch, getting up the pitch quickly whenever you have that opportunity. Just do it. And, if we give up a goal, we give up a few goals, so be it. This is, we'll just turn our attention to the league, and we'll put all that anger from a loss into our next league opponent. So, I really couldn't be bothered that we lost, but I think Matt, he was a real bright spot and someone worthy of being called out and celebrated right off the bat on this episode.
For sure. Chris, when you look at the result, 3-1 on paper, but I mean, it's not like we were playing an Everton or Wolves. We were playing one of the most athletic, high press teams in the world. And there were times where we really held our own on that.
I thought it was for the team that we put out, I thought it was a pretty solid performance. I know we spoke on the podcast the week before about the lineup that we were going to have. And if you look at that 11 and compare it to, say, the 11 we played on Sunday and previous 11s, then there were players like Sutter in the side. You had Mark Albrighton got a run out. Chowdhury played in that. Yes, he's played a little bit more than those guys, but he played in the center of the park. It wasn't the 11. If we were to say, hey, this was our strongest 11, it probably wasn't that. And yeah, you're right, Matt. The scoreline, the stats do say one thing. It suggests that Liverpool dominated, which they did. But I was happy with that performance. And I thought, to Jason's point, that mentality is the most important thing that rubs off. It's like, okay, this wasn't going to be for this day, but hey, let's go again Sunday, focus on the league and move forward. And I think that was a huge positive. I'll echo what you guys said about McAteer. One thing I love about the guy as well is that he has, when he puts on that Leicester shirt, it means something to him. And that's just what we want to see. We spent and bemoaned all last season about that lack of passion, whether it be wearing the shirt. You don't get it with that guy. That he puts on that Leicester shirt. He's proud to put on that Leicester shirt. All he wanted to do his entire life was put that Leicester shirt on. So yeah, a revelation, mate, and long may it continue. I mean, just to go and talk a little bit more about the game, and Matt maybe will go more into it, but it was great to see Cody out there as well. I mean, one of the things that he brought a sense of leadership and calmness back there, which I think is so exciting to see as he kind of regains his fitness and gets integrated, I think, potentially into the 11 moving forward.
Yeah, a lot. Go ahead, Jason. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. No, Matt. Go ahead.
I was just going to say there was a lot of, I saw a lot of Liverpool fans celebrating the fact that, they made 11. We were able to beat Leicester with all the 11 changes. And I wanted to just comment on all of them that, yeah, we made 9 changes ourselves and still scored first on you and gave you a hell of a match from where we are as a team versus where you are. But, you're playing that insanely athletic team. You're playing Jurgen Klopp, who is one of the brightest managers in the game. So yeah, I think, I hate the fucking term moral victories, but I think that's what you just got to look at here, Jason.
Yeah. I mean, we played a back four that had never played together. Our two center backs were making their debuts, right, for us. And Cody's coming back from injury. And we made changes all over the pitch. So this is an 11 that's not used to playing with, each other. And, still did all right. And we're in the game. And if it wasn't for some just appalling refereeing, maybe we do scratch that out and take it to penalties. I mean, the refereeing, the officiating was terrible. So I don't really have a lot. I mean, I don't have as much sympathy as maybe some do about their latest VAR plight because of some of the calls that they've gotten against us at Anfield over the years. So, yeah, I don't know. I think my two immediate thoughts after the game were one, of course, Diego Jota waited until Hamza Chowdhury was already on a yellow before he would go after him and try to pretend like he was a tough guy. And I really wish that someone would have put him in his place that day. But I'm sure we'll have another opportunity to do that after we get promoted. And number two, yeah, on to winning the league. Those were my two thoughts after the game.
Yeah, very much so. And I think I think those were pretty much our thoughts heading into the game. So take it as it is, guys. I think it was great for our young gentlemen to get a good match against a higher level club. And yeah, we had worried. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I guess it's also pretty cool that, I mean, I'm sick and tired of playing them when we don't have to and we constantly drawing them in the cup. I guess it is pretty cool that whenever we do play them, we go to Anfield, we get to see what new 16-year-old they've created in a factory on Merseyside that's going to become the new greatest.
They're just going to torment us for the next 10 years.
Yeah, so I guess we got to see that again. If I don't know if you can consider that a positive, or I guess it's a novelty. It's something pretty cool. We get a sneak preview before everyone else does again
of whatever they've grown. I one thing I was kind of worried about was the momentum and what that could do. I was afraid that the boys, might get their shoulders hung low a little bit, but man, we saw the exact opposite. And I think that really speaks to the leadership in the locker room, the leadership that our manager has right now, and the general feeling around this club of, okay, on to the next one. Let's win the fucking league. To your point, Jason. We step up with a tough match, then coming right back on the short week. And man, we look really good on the weekend. A 4-1 dominating performance where we're seeing Jamie scoring goals like he scores. That was a very Jamie Vardy goal again. Amazing to see. Penalty goals. I mean, dive right into it, Chris. Your thoughts on how it went on the weekend for us 4 a.m. for the 4 a.m. wake up call here on the West Coast.
Proper game of football. Firstly, I'll say I love Ewood Park. I think it's one of those fantastic old stadiums that has so much history, but they've done a good job kind of making it still look relatively decent on camera. I thought everything about that game was absolutely fantastic. The build-up, just the atmosphere, the players coming out of the tunnel. It was a proper game. I really, really enjoyed it. In terms of the performance, I mean, it's weird, 4-1, and you're thinking to yourself, all right, if you look on that on paper again, you're thinking, okay, we smashed it, convincing performance type thing. But I still don't really know how to feel about the performance. We're getting it done and we're scoring goals and we're winning these games. But in terms of where I think we're still just a team learning to play this philosophy and learning how to play Enzo ball and learning how to adapt as a unit. And so I still think there's just so much. Every game I'm coming, I'm like, oh my God, there's just so much potential still coming from this team. And I mean, yeah, going away to Blackburn, winning 4-1 like we did, fantastic. Top of the league, starting to get that gap. But it's still a case, Matt, of like me just thinking to myself, like, I still don't really know where we are as an 11. And I'm just so excited to see where we're going to go and where it's going to continue.
Yeah, we spoke about a little bit last week that, we're not playing a 4-4-2 here. The guys, it's not a system that they've any of. I mean, maybe a few of them, but it's a system that is new to everyone, from the water boy to well, not Enzo, I guess, but to the guys on the pitch. So when you have that, and you have also that dichotomy of a new locker room trying to come together, a team playing in a new league with a new manager, I mean, everything is just so up in the air that, yeah, it's going to take a little bit longer than let's just play get it forward football. Marty balls, I heard it called, by the way, which is this week, which is hilarious. So I think now that we are starting to see things start to click, and I think one of the biggest things that I noticed there, Jason, was that we're now only being scored on our mistakes. That play by Mads out of the back, and it's a very Man City feeling. Like when Man City gets scored on, it's usually because somebody fucked up, and we're starting to see that now with our new system, and that's, in my opinion, why it was 4-1 and not 4-0.
Yeah, there were stretches where Blackburn were in the game and threatened us, but I think you're right largely, and I think a lot of what we're playing comes down to calculating risk, and just managing the risk of the game. And I think Enzo has a good idea of the league, of the quality around the league, and knows that we can afford to take certain risks, and the way we do play out of the back. The more the players play together, the more kind of mistakes they make early on, I think the better it will get going forward. But Enzo still seems to be like very positive about the side, even though he's admitted, and he keeps saying, and everything that he's been saying, I think he's been right on about everything around the club lately. He's really hitting the nail on the head just every week. But he's been positive about the side, even though he'll admit that we're still not where we need to be. And I think that positivity will help the squad and help a keeper like Hermansen like play the game. The biggest transition comes from like getting out of this formulaic way of playing and making sure that the X's and O's are where they're supposed to be. And until that, and then having that become second nature, and then just playing that free flowing football. And Chris, to your earlier points, I think we're starting to get there. And what I see that's making me think that is how quickly we're starting to counter on teams. And we are starting to get the ball up the pitch at a very fast pace during multiple moments of games. We had plenty of times where KDH was bombing up the pitch, where Mavididi, Fatawu, were just trying to get the ball up the pitch. That Vardy goal, I mean, that was not a slow build up there on the left that went back around, recycled to Hermansen before it got its way over to the right wing. That was a very quick cross the field pass that got right over, and then we just took off and saw that space and took it and flew up the pitch. And for me, that is those are the most encouraging signs for me that like we're getting there, and the players are taking to this message, and the players all are on board and know that this is a very effective way to play football.
Yeah, to your point, the Liverpool counter. I mean, look, that was just bam, bam, and right away we're up 1-0, third minute in. I think a guy who really has been just so impressive, having to learn this new system, but not only learn a new system with new teammates and a new manager and a new league, he's also having to learn a new position, and that's Wilfred Ndidi. we had questions at the beginning of the year when we saw number 25 showing up in the other box, and we're like, certainly Enzo, he just doesn't understand the player that Wilf is. But holy cow, you guys, every week he just seems to be getting it more and more. And great interview this week by Owen with him explaining how he's putting in the work to learn this new position and this new system, and really the confidence that Enzo has instilled in him to really thrive in this position. Chris, what are your thoughts so far on
Matt,
Mr. Indeedy?
It's like having a new signing.
Yeah.
It feels like it feels like we've just got this new lad in who has naturally always played in this progressive role up the top of the pitch. I mean, if we want to sum him up and how great he's been, that pass for Vardy's goal on Sunday, doesn't look up, plays it crossfield, beautiful. Just
On a plate.
The penalty against Bristol City, like you've got a guy who wasn't even thinking about being in those areas of the pitch last season. I mean, he was more sticking himself on the other end of the pitch, giving away penalties because he had his hands up by his arm, by his head every time. I mean, it's just amazing, I think, what the fresh start has done for that lad in terms of his confidence, in terms of him enabling to reset himself. And as you pointed out in that interview with Owen, which I thought was fantastic. And if you haven't caught it yet, go listen to it. It was great. Was just that he's got this new motivation and he's got that in bucket loads. And that's what we need. And I think people will say, I know Harry Winks has had a great start. I know Vestergaard has been a revelation for us as well. But to be honest, I think he's up there with currently, if not leading. If I was to say who's player of the season so far, I think he'd be what my pick at this moment in time.
Yeah, it's really just been incredible because when you pair and I don't think I'm the only one that thought that when we heard that there were 6 players, whatever, that wanted to leave, and Enzo convinced him to go back. I know I'm not the only one that just assumed that he was on that list, especially with all the rumors that we heard during transfer season. But to really screw your head on and button down and embrace this role and this challenge says a lot about his character, doesn't it, Jason?
Yeah, he's having a lot of fun. I guess who wouldn't be having fun scoring goals and making assists and getting to do that all the time, right? That would make anyone enjoy their football, and he hasn't had a chance to do that very much in his career. And without gushing over Enzo every time I'm speaking, I think he deserves a lot of credit for seeing that in Indeedy, where none of us did. And I mean, I don't think you would find a Leicester fan that would wanted him in that position. And certainly not after the first couple of games too, right? He had a tough time. I think Wilfred Indeedy this year is an example of a few different things, and a bit of a microcosm of our club right now and the way things are going. To play in that, to excel in this division, you don't have to have all of the tools at 5 out of 5. But if you can do several other things at a 5 out of 5, you don't necessarily have to be the silkiest dribbler or have 2 feet. And Wilf's dribbling has been amazing us this year, and it's much better than we realized it could be. And I think it's just getting better as the year goes on. He's got an incredible engine on him, and he can cover so much ground, and he doesn't seem to be getting tired any game. And I think having players like him, like KDH, like Mavididi, Ricardo, and a few others who can play a full 90 minutes if needed and not slow down, and then bring in the reinforcements that we need. It's just the other sides so far cannot cope with that. They do not have the squad depth, and they don't have the athletes that we have in those areas of the pitch to be able to keep up. And we're scoring a lot of late goals. And I've been bemoaning our lack of athleticism around the pitch. And that's something that we've changed this year, and we are highlighting our more athletic players out there. And we brought in a Fatawu and, guys that can bring that, in other areas of the pitch as well. And it's really, really, done wonders for us. And the other thing I think that's a lot different is we have buy-in and the football is fresh. Things have become so stale for all the players. The football was stale. The lineups were stale. Confidence was low. And now guys like Ndidi are getting to play brand new football. It's a completely new game for him. And that's got to be motivating and get you, up in the morning and get you out of that monotony and the rut that you're in. We all kind of feel that. I'm sure all of us have felt that in our own jobs. You're getting up and you're kind of stuck in a dead end and you're doing the same thing over and over again. It's not fulfilling. Now, certainly it's a little easier to do all that when you're getting paid the salary of a footballer and you get to live, every day at Seagrave rather than sit in a cubicle. But, hey, this is what these guys know. This is their job. And he gets to do something else. He gets, to move to the new division and gets to go on those, I don't know what the equivalent would be, like get to, bring in some nice hefty commission checks that he didn't have access to by, getting these goals and assists. And maybe he's now being invited to the conference that only like those producers are getting to go to.
The gold level.
Yeah, exactly. He's in the diamond tier at his MLM. But it's changed. It's this motivation, and I think we needed to find that out of a lot of these players, and the cynicism was there around the club, around the fans. Confidence was at an all-time low, and it's what do you do with the players that are still here? How do you get the best out of them, and how do you keep them motivated when it has to be an inherent letdown to be playing in this division for some of these players? And we've hit the nail on the head, on every point when it comes to Wilfred Ndidi, and have turned him into, like Chris said, a brand new signing. That's really fun to watch. I mean, I thought he was one of our worst players last season.
Definitely.
I mean, by like him, Yuri, it was bad. It was really bad. He was a shell of himself. And now the old Wilfred Ndidi is like he's unrecognizable compared to his former self. To compare to his when he was at the top of his game as the best destroyer in Europe, and then he became that new shell of himself, and now he's like a completely different guy again, and playing in a new position and loving life and getting the fans out of their seats every week. I mean, I could keep going on about him, but I think I've.
It's great. And I was gonna say check the receipts if you want to listen to the shows from last season, dude. We lambasted him for his lack of he just had no give a fuck. Like it was literally just going through the motions, trotting around next to Tielemans, just infuriating football. And man, for him to literally have turned this thing around, it's just so impressive and so good to see. So props to Wilf, and long may it continue.
And then speaking of turnarounds, I think there's another player that's I think you're heading there. Yeah.
I assume we're talking about the same player, and that's Wout Foss. Is that where you were going?
I mean, you're at the right area of the pitch.
Well, okay, we talked Vestergaard last week. We really did a deep dive on him last week. But I wanted to point out Wout Foss this week. Is that who you're speaking of? I don't know. I'm bad at reading you right now.
Yeah. No, this is I mean, I think right now Vestergaard deserves to be, he has been consistently performing and being that rock. We've always, whenever we've done really well, we've always kind of had that great duo, and those center backs that really like pair really well with each other. We've had those iconic combinations throughout the years. And listen, we're a little early here, so it's I'm not comparing them to maybe Walsh and Elliott just yet, but Vestergaard is quietly just keeping everything nice and tidy, and then now I think we're starting to get the best out of Foss because Vestergaard is just so reliable, so dependable that Vestergaard can like let that hair flow and do his thing.
Foss can let it flow. Yeah,
Bob Foss can do that. Excuse me.
Yeah, man, we're on the same page for sure. And yeah, we talked last week just about a guy that, with Vesti and how not only from, media, but then his own fans, like just being on his back. And I held up my hand and apologized because I was one of the nickname maker uppers, supreme. But yeah, he has just literally been a block back there and done everything that we've needed. And yeah, to that point, now we see Foss playing with a little bit more freedom. We see this amazing header goal that he scores against Blackburn, just a beautiful goal. And yeah, I think you're exactly right, which, now that we have Connor Cody healthy again, who we all assume was just going to step right back into the side, I don't know, man. I don't admire being in zone, having to make some of these decisions for this squad coming up, because it's a wealth of weapons that we have, Chris.
Yeah, but I think as you've seen especially on the wings as well, like Enzo's not going to be afraid to rotate. He will be comfortable knowing that he feels that Cody can slip into that position if Vestergaard needs a rest. I mean, I know I wasn't with you guys last week, and I know we've kind of gone over this, but show me, like, if you want to know how much Vestergaard cares, just look at that block after the save from Mads. Like, he just throws himself at the ball. Basically, I think prevents them from scoring. And I mean, yeah, I'm with you. I apologize in essence and some of the stuff that happened, because this guy is great, absolutely great. But I think Enzo won't be too worried about slipping Cody in when he is fit and because I mean, like we said last week, I think there's 37 games left of the season now or something stupid. So we're going to need to have the ability to rotate in that area. One thing, I think, to your point, Matt, about Fast as well, one thing that I've really enjoyed, we like to switch. One of the things we switch it quickly, and Faust is one of our big instigators in switching it quickly. He loves that long field, that long cross diagonal pass, get it out wide as quick as possible. So I think that's been a great kind of thing for his game. I think back to the Huddersfield game as well, where he was the guy who was leaps and bounds above everybody else on the pitch. And it was great to see him get on the score sheet. I mean, we scored, I don't know, does that count as scoring from a corner if we play it short and then cross it? I don't know.
I think so.
I think so too, yes.
We don't score that many. But yeah, I mean, it was great at the back, ping it to the back post, great header. And I think, I don't know whether it's starting to build that past two games, like you guys have said, we've took the advantage early and been aggressive early and grabbed 2 goals quickly. And maybe, hopefully that's something we can continue to do.
If us, that diagonal ball was missing from Brendan's tactics. And whenever we'd play a team that would just smoke us, control the game, they always had that club in the bag. They were always able to, make that pass. And it's such a key component of the way, Man City plays, the way Liverpool play. We've got to be able to do that. And we would never, ever look for that ball. And in Doyle and Foss, we have players that can make that pass. The Vardy goal, came from a really quick, cross-field ball too that started that. And when you control the ball and you start to kind of pull the opposition around the pitch, it frees up the other half of the pitch for you because these players are starting to suck in closer to the ball. They're losing their shape, and you have to take advantage of that and strike quickly. And Foss does that really well. And I'm like, he spots it very quickly, which is key for us. And then when I was talking about those iconic center backs that we've always had and those pairings, one thing that they've always done is chip in and score big goals. I mean, look at Walsh's record, look at Elliott's record, look at Taggart's record. These are Wes Morgan, Robert Huth. They all chip in and score their fair share of goals, and oftentimes on those set pieces. And it's that's been a problem for us for a while. And if we can get our defenders up on these attacking set pieces and have them be a real aerial threat that can get the ball on goal, I mean, that's going to be a good chunk of extra goals for us this year, and really help our chances to wrap up the league.
It's just it's a recurring theme, and I think as it continues like this, guys, there's players, you look at Wout Foss and it's like, that guy just has no business being in the championship. And I think we're just gonna have a number of guys this year, Wilfred and Ndidi. I mean, some of these teams that we play, I just can't imagine looking at the shit that we have coming off the bench. And just it's a great position to be in. I got to tell you, I'm enjoying it very much. And yeah, it's an odd position to be in too.
Yeah, it's a hell of a championship substitution, isn't it? Where you take off Vardy and bring on Iheanacho. I mean, it's yeah,
and also
the greatest
sitting there.
One of the greatest players in Leicester City history, and then you bring on a guy who is world class. It's like, yeah, okay, that's nice.
It's just Daka can it. I mean, it's crazy.
I think it remains to be seen whether Patson Daka is too good for this level. My jury's still out on him there.
Fair enough. Keep going down the line here, guys. Though Jamie Vardy's goal, we briefly touched on it. Classic Jamie Vardy. When he starts doing those effortless little one touches again, the league better look the fuck out, Chris. That's just literally textbook Jamie right there.
Well, yeah, as you get older, yes, you're going to lose certain aspects to your game. You're not going to be able he's not going to be able to burst 35 yards and beat a man, but what you don't lose is your ability to finish. And the way he took his goal on Sunday, brilliant. First touch, takes it away from a defender, and he just smashes it home. You can't. One of those goals, Matt, where classic Vardy goal, classic Poacher's goal, and the sort of goal that I think we'll see more and more this year. Like, you can Vardy has a role in this team, and again, we're going to keep blowing Enzo's trumpet, which is amazing to say, but Enzo has a role and he understands what Vardy needs to do in this side. And I think he's been able to communicate that perfectly to Vardy. Like, yes, he plays deeper when we've got possession baseball, but then when we switch it quickly or when we're progressing it up the park quickly, he's on the last defender. He's pulling away. We're looking continuously for that ball around the corner, through the channel for him. 18-yard box, finish. And so I think it's perfectly set up for him. He's going to get a few more. It's great to see. I mean, getting Vardy on the score sheet. Again, Matt, we talk about confidence building, momentum building. Like, imagine you're a championship side and all of a sudden you're seeing Vardy scored 5 in 6. Last thing you want to do is players at that point. You know you've got the go screaming and just hungry. So, yeah, it's been fantastic to see. Build the statue, as we always say. Yeah, top stuff.
No disrespect to anyone else on the side. You know, I do really enjoy watching this side, and we have some really good players for this level. But there's just something different about a Jamie Vardy goal. What it does to the fans, what it does to his teammates, what it does to the opposition, what he does to the opposing fans. It's just, there's something different about when he scores. And, you know, it'd be very tough to find someone who wouldn't say that he's our greatest ever player. And what he's done for the club means more than he's done so much for the club. I mean, we've had some amazing talents and incredible players, but I don't think any have had the impact that he has had on our club. And he's a special player, and he looks determined this year to make the most of any of his opportunities and to milk his goals for everything that they're worth. And I would just say to Leicester fans out there, it's been I'm not saying that anyone's taking him for granted, but who knows how much longer we'll get to see this. I mean, he looks right now like he can continue to play for quite a long time. But he looks determined to make the most of all of his goals. And I would just, not that I don't know. Probably don't even need to say this, but just, I think we all need to really make sure we're enjoying watching Jamie Vardy this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
it's like we all know what he is, but last year, whether it was Brendan Ball, whether it was just, I don't know what it was, but there were questions being asked by the fan base. Is it past? Is he gone? Is it, uncomfortable questions being asked, not on this podcast, I will note, but those rumblings were, if you were on Fox's Talk or whatever, you did see people asking that question. Is he done? Is it past it? And man, to see him step his level back up, and we're now seeing that classic Vardy, it just reminds you that last year was just a total shit show. And yeah, to your point, I'm so happy to see him really coming back and being a catalyst again for this squad. Anything else on Mr. Vardy?
I mean, we could do a whole season.
Oh my god, we could do
on him. But as good as that pass was, the touch to receive it and the finish on his left foot was even better. And I thought he had another outstanding game, and he's been playing some really good football for us.
He has. Nacho. Yeah, go ahead.
One thing I was going to follow on from Jason's point, which is bang on about Vardy, and that idea that when he scores, it's different. He's the only footballer that I've ever seen where you enjoy when he scores at the opposite end to our fans, because you just know that the celebration and everything that's going to happen is just pure pandemonium. And it just sets the message. I mean, normally you love it when the score at the Leicester end and all the fans can go crazy and stuff. But with Vardy, you think of his best goals, West Brom away, and all that sort of stuff, where it's just like he's in his element when he's got 10,000 behind the stand giving it to him as he's running through. And yeah, I don't think we'll ever see a guy like that in a Leicester shirt again. And echo Jason's point, enjoy this, guys, because yeah, we don't know how long it's going to last. But yeah.
Well, he's shown us this year that those goals don't have to be scored at the away end.
Yeah, he just runs to the other
end. The way he ran down to the Bristol City fans. It kind of, I don't know. I don't want to speak too soon. But, when this might be a concept that's like, hasn't really been seen much in England. So apologies to overseas listeners. But like when Derek Jeter retired, great Yankee who won, was captain of the Yankees, who won, a bunch of titles with the and was a really revered and respected player around the league. Every time the he had announced his retirement, and every time the Yankees went and played in a new city, the opposing fans were giving him, people were showing up to see him one last time, and he was getting gifts from the opposing teams, and there was a lot of kind of respect there, and everyone kind of knew that this was their last opportunity to see him. seems like Vardy's kind of taken that and flipped it a bit, and he's making sure that like the opposing fans, like
You're
this
gonna
could,
remember.
I'm gonna make sure you get rustled on this last tour, on this last go around. You're gonna get something from this. So instead of like a farewell tour, he seems to be like intent on going on this like full on rustling tour. And, I mean, I hope it lasts for a few more seasons, but it's just something that, I'm trying to, I'm keeping an eye on this year.
I don't know if there's ever been a player that in the history of the league where you are more happy that he's on your team and he's not wrestling your jimmies and on the opposite end of it. We're already into 45 minutes, so let's keep moving here. Nacho buries home a penalty. That was great to see. And then, talk about KDH's goal real quick, because that thing was just absolutely incredible from start to finish. There's the list of people that can make that finish is very small, as was pointed out this week by the Second Tier podcast. They said 99% of the people would miss that, and I don't know, man. I can't argue with them there. That's just a gorgeous goal from Mr. Dewsbury All.
Yeah, I'll admit I really have not been listening to him this year. They seem just intent on getting the clicks however possible. But it was a tidy finish. Eunice seemed to know what he was going to do and where he was going to play that ball like 20, 30 yards before he made that pass and kind of saw the pattern of play. It was a hell of a finish. But KDH making that run, being able to do that at that minute of the game, that just, an example of what I was talking about before with Wilfred Ndidi and these types of players that can just go all out for the 90 minutes and cover a lot of ground. KDH was frustrating me for a lot of the game. I think because he's always trying to play it on his left foot, on a lot of our counters, he's kind of thinking a little bit too much and trying to figure out what he wants to do and how he can get it on his left foot. And he was slowing down some of our counters. But again, I think in this division, if you can do other things really well, like you'll get your opportunities, and he does all the other stuff well. His distribution, I think, overall was decent and like helped us keep the ball. He made a few really incisive passes, but then he just brings a motor that the opposition can't keep up with. And that was a big reason why he was able to score that goal and make that run and look fresher than players that were just subbed on.
Yes, sir. So yeah, guys, dominating performance, 3 more points, and on we roll into tomorrow. We're recording this right now. It's Tuesday evening, so tomorrow we have Preston North End 2. I didn't see them being in third place this late in the season or this early in the year, but here we are, and now this is technically our biggest game of the year so far, guys. Which it's going to be a recurring theme this year, but I do think that if you look at the table and another win here, I mean, we're not far off from being 10 points by Saturday out in a very comfortable position. So Preston North End on when tomorrow. Your thoughts heading into this one, Chris? I think we're going to see more of the same as far as squad rotation and just keeping things nice and fresh, especially now that Suter's in the mix. Cody's in the mix. We've got Callum Doyle out with an injury. Young McAteer's out with an injury. So there's going to be some flopping around.
Yeah, hell of a 2 home game stand, isn't it? Preston North End and then Stoke. Kind of 2 teams that he used to, synonymous back in the day with the old hoof it as far as you can, big lads on the pitch. I mean, I think Preston have evolved. Preston's a fun one. And for our American listeners, you're probably looking at the name and thinking Preston North End. It's not a city. It's not a United. Like, this is one of the oldest football clubs in the whole of England. When we go away, the away corresponding fixture, we'll probably talk more about them. But the North End is because that was the original area of the city where they used to play in the North End of Preston. So they kind of stuck with the name. And I just thought it was really apt, given that we see, especially with the MLS and the expansion coming to San Diego and the branding that's going to be announced and the expectation that it's probably going to be a City or United or something like that. I think it's just a really quirky, great thing about English football that they stay true to their roots in terms of some of the description. In terms of the game, Matt, yeah, fully expect the same thing as you. We won't see the same 11 that started on Sunday. I'm pretty confident of that now. I don't think Cody. It was interesting. He didn't bring Cody on at the weekend. Maybe we'll see him tomorrow. If not, we'll probably see him Saturday. Obviously, there was a certain rest that is needed after he's played. But fully. I don't know. I'm starting to. Is it wrong to get that arrogance now that you're starting to think that, like, even though they're third place, you just think to yourself that, like, the way we've been playing, the potential, we should win this game.
I feel very
like it was Leicester when we do that. We just
man. I feel really good, especially when you look at they got absolutely the shit kicked out of them by West Brom on Saturday. So they're coming into it off of a loss. I think that all signs are pointing to another 3 points, Jason.
I'm not marking off 3 points in our bag just yet. And that was a terrible mixed metaphor. Oh, well, live radio for everyone here. So, the beast is out of the cage, and the train just keeps going down the tracks. But
optimism, boys, optimism.
So I think this is going to be a tough one for a few different reasons. This is a North End side that they don't really have much to lose, and we've had a bit more difficulty playing at home than playing away for a few different reasons. Teams really tighten up at the back, and up until their last game, against West Brom, their defense was playing very well. They were very well organized, and maybe that's a blip. Who knows? It's still pretty early in the season. The sample size is still small. But if the Preston that have been, picking up the points that they've been picking up all season show up at King Power, they may be the best team that show up and play against us. And we've had difficulty against some sides and breaking them down. And, the sides that have done that to us have kind of stayed in the game a bit longer. Hull, for example. And that's when we dropped points actually this year and got our only loss. So I think it's going to be a tough one. I think Preston will make this a difficult game. They have a little bit of a reputation for taking points off the bigger sides, and they really seem to be up for this. I know they'll have a lively away end. Our home atmosphere compared to our away ends have been relatively flat, and that's why you keep seeing Enzo is just trying to implore the home crowd to be a bit more like the away ends and to support the side no matter what's going on in the game, and not to lose patience when we do need to work it out in the back. So I think it's going to be a very intriguing battle. I think it's going to be a tough game, and I'm looking forward to it. I am. And if anyone gets the opportunity to spend any time with one of our club legends that I've mentioned a few times, Mr. Steve Walsh, just give it enough time, and he will make sure that he tells you he's from Preston. He doesn't waste an opportunity to let the people know that he's from up there in that part of the world. And there's a certain toughness and a certain breed that I think that comes out of Preston if Steve Walsh is an example. So it should be a good game on Wednesday.
So yeah, Wednesday tomorrow. I keep saying that. So yeah, hopefully you're listening to this either on your way down to the KP or getting ready to watch the match tomorrow. But yeah, we got Preston and then Stoke City on Saturday, as Chris alluded to. Stoke currently sitting in 17th. But always a dangerous side. You can never sleep on that. We've had some just incredible matches with those guys. So that'll be another one. But good to be back to a normal kind of hangout time after that 4 a.m. kickoff. It'll be nice to get back with San Diego Foxes at the bar. I'm sure New York Foxes will be getting together in New York City as well for that Stoke match. But great opportunity, guys, here to put 6 points and really start separating ourselves from the rest of the league. And boy, I just hope that they can grab onto it and take advantage of it. Anything else that you guys want to speak of before we? I got a question sent in this week from actually a New York Fox. So Craig Rom, New York Fox extraordinaire, and also has visited us many times here in San Diego and hung out with San Diego Foxes. He wrote in and said, question for the pod, is Leicester the good luck Chuck of the league? I.e., find and develop young talent only to have them get picked off by the, quote, big, unquote, clubs, get in bed with Leicester and wake up with Tottenham. Can we fix this? Being one of your disciples, Jason, I will let you answer the New York Fox, Mr. Rom.
Well,
what are your thoughts on that?
I have to see if I'm qualified enough to answer this question because clearly Craig is much more up on his rom-coms than I am, and so I don't know if I've seen that one, but it looks like it's got a pretty well-known cast. I'm sure there's some good chuckles in there. Yeah, look, unless you're one of the biggest clubs in the world, you're always going to be doing this, right, to some degree. And it's something that we've done even during our best years, playing in the championship, selling off and N'Golo Kante. It's going to happen. But I think there's a way to do that and to maintain success. And it takes management of the squad, it takes management of contracts, and we got away from that last year, and that's why we were in all these contract debacles and letting players go on free, we're being forced to sell players before we were really ready, and doing all the other things right really kind of limit those losses there. And right now, look, we have to, I think, accept the position that we're in. We're going to sell off players that we develop, and we're going to have to develop players for bigger clubs like the Callum Doyles and the Cassidays and those types of players. It's just the nature of where we are in the football pyramid. But hopefully this season is a wake-up call for the top brass and what we need to kind of get back to in terms of recruitment and squad building, so that more of these players are Leicester players and will remain Leicester players for as long as possible when we develop them, and then hopefully then we can start sending out our players on loan again and having other clubs kind of step in and fill the role that we were formerly in.
Perfectly said. Couldn't have said it any better myself. Chris, anything that you would like to touch on before we send the good folks home on another, because we're already in an hour here.
No, mate, I think we've sent everything and just looking forward to getting back. 2 games on the bounce, getting to see you on Saturday. Can't wait. Just a reminder for everyone, I think tomorrow's game is on the LCFC player and not ESPN Plus. So, fingers crossed the experience is a little bit better than it has been in previous weeks, and we're not all stressing with blue screens of death. And
I think they got it figured out, according to the email that I was sent, which offered me only 55 hoops to jump through to get my refund for missing the first 20 minutes of the match last week. But I think hopefully that's all figured out now.
And if I could take the opportunity, just wanted to had special visitors this weekend, and wanted to take an opportunity to thank the Birchinall family for a very kind gesture this weekend. It was good to spend a little time with Dean and Nikki, and also wanted to send a very special thank you over to Louise at the football club, who played a part of that. And thank you, Lou. You've always been so wonderful to me, my brothers, and the New York Foxes. And also give a shout out to my pals, Jake and Jack over at the those big, strong Leicester boys who had just completed the Cologne Marathon. And I know you guys had a lot going on, Jack especially, and well done. He broke the 4-hour mark on his first, probably and last marathon. So now it's time to go on, get fat, have kids, and never run a marathon again.
Fuck those marathons, man. I'm not running unless something's chasing me. Guys, that will be it for this edition of the US Foxes podcast. It is October now, so I did want to quickly state that I will be over for the Swansea away match and the Sunderland home match. Our numbers in the UK, you guys just continue to blow my mind of how many of you are listening now in the UK. So if any of our UK listeners would like to get together for a pint while I am in town, please hit us up in the DMs. We're probably going to be hanging out at Everard's and a few other spots doing some pub crawls. So please hit me up in the DMs as far as getting together. That would be absolutely a blast. But on that note, guys, thank you for joining us on another edition of the US Foxes podcast. Wherever you are in the world, we cannot thank you enough for spending this hour with us as we talk about this little old club in the East Midlands. We literally are here because of you guys. So tell your friends, your family, the guy standing next to you in SK1. Have you heard these dumbass Americans talking about our club? We would love it if you could just spread the word. And yeah. We will talk to you next time on the US Foxes podcast, hopefully with 6 more points. Until then, guys, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. Cheers.